Welcome to ILC Tamil Radio, Ilakku Web News. Today we have the distinct pleasure of interviewing a remarkable individual, a final year law student, and a dedicated human rights activist. Renuka Imbakumar, Refugee Council spokesperson, supporting this rally in Sydney, Australia. They have been actively involved in various campaigns and initiatives, demonstrating profound commitment to justice and human rights. We are excited to delve into their insights and experience on critical issues, mass grave in the north of Sri Lanka. Welcome to ILC Tamil Radio, Renuka.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you again on this show. I would like to start with, I mentioned in my intro, mass grave. Please explain to our listeners, what is the Chemmani?
Chemmani is located in the northern district of Tamil, so in Jaffna. And Seman was known for the mass graves that had various individuals who were killed, who were abducted by the Sri Lankan state, so the Sri Lankan military. And these individuals were enforced disappeared. No one knew where they went. And this actually started with the case of Krishanti, an innocent girl who had just finished her A-level exams. And she was on her way back from school, and she was unfortunately raped and killed. And her mother, her sibling, and her neighbor went to go looking for her and were also killed. And that's when individuals within Tamil started to realize that this was a mass grave, that this is a common occurrence within the Sri Lankan state. The Sri Lankan state continuously abducted innocent Elam Tamils, killed them, would do horrendous crimes, and would enforce disappear them. No one knew where they went. And this case led into there to be a mass grave. And now in 2025, they have officially founded 65 skeletons so far. And the case that is ongoing with this mass grave has stated that there's almost 600 bodies within this mass grave. And recently, there was a child body that was found with a school bag, and on that school bag, it has had the UNICEF logo. There was a child's sandal found. There was skulls that had bits of it removed. And so this is an act of genocide. People believe that genocidal acts is, through bombs, through shootings. But this is an act of genocide, a deliberate intent killing of a whole group that was done. And to this day, there's no international investigation being achieved by this.
You just mentioned a schoolgirl was abducted and killed about 30 odd years ago. Why does that Chemmani still matters today for Tamils?
I believe that for 76 years, we've been facing ongoing genocide by the Sri Lankan state. And this grave in specific, has released a whole new information for the world to understand that Elam Tamils faced various aspects of genocide. And this kid, this schoolgirl, was to be seen as 3 to 5 years old, an innocent Tamil schoolgirl. There was no civil war in this act. This was a genocidal act. And what people fail to realize is that this grave has now released information explaining how there has been enforced disappearances still. And, individuals are now providing DNA samples because they think that some of these skeletons could be their family members. Because, as a reminder, Sri Lanka holds the second highest enforced disappearances. And the United Nations had failed us in 2009 when they left us in the peak of the genocide. And what people need to realize is that our genocide did not happen just in 2009. Our genocide happened from 1948, from 4th of February. There were various acts, and this is one. And this grave is so important because of what is being found. And this school bag that was found next to that body just displays that the Sri Lankan state didn't differentiate Tamil resistance to Tamil existence. The Sri Lankan state just believed if you were Tamil, you should be killed. And this is what we are trying to say.
You said the UN failed. Do you still have faith in UN supporting this?
I strongly believe that the United Nations needs to open its eyes. Just the High Commissioner just coming and visiting the graves was not enough, and saying a speech about that he will support us. The United Nations needs to understand that they had left us in 2009, and in 2012 they released a report stating that they actually shouldn't have left us. And from 2012 to now, there are various reports stating there needs to be international investigation. But there should be no internal investigation. The Sri Lankan justice system fails us. And the United Nations needs to understand you cannot comment on Palestine without commenting on Tamil first. Because we were the testing ground in the 21st century. What people need to see is that all the information that was released after 2009, being the WikiLeaks cable, has stated how the UN knew that Sri Lanka was being provided with weaponaries, that was provided with training, and that the UN needs to understand that we have witnesses. This is not a war without witness. This is a witnessed genocide. There are various witnesses who have seen everything, who are willing to provide this information. The UN cannot continue to turn a blind eye just because of diplomacy.
You said that mass grave in Chemmani and talked about the UN and their failure and the international community failure to act upon. And you said that you're organizing a rally. Obviously, the mass grave is in northern Sri Lanka. Tell me why you're rallying in Australia regarding this issue.
I believe that anywhere in the world, that us Elam Tamils have a role, that we as diaspora have a very strong voice, and that we need to elevate the voices of Tamil Elam. So in Australia, we're having all Tamil organizations work together, and we're rallying in front of the Sri Lankan High Commission, and then we'll be attending various embassies, and then ending at the UN Information Center. And this rally will draw attention to our demands, and that's an international accountability on the ongoing genocide that's occurring in Tamil Elam, and that needs to be an investigation on these graves, and there needs to be an answer to the enforced disappeared, and that self-determination was our right. So this rally isn't just us just standing in front of the High Commission. We will be handing a letter to embassies explaining our demands and trying to have a meeting right there and then with witnesses to explain our cause and how these embassies can work with the people of Tamil Elam to address our concerns with the UN.
Do you still have the faith in international community? Talking to many Tamils since 2009 massacre, many believe that the massacre happened and supported by many countries. Do you still have the faith in the international community to be able to get Tamils justice?
I definitely think that we do. When we're talking with the international countries, we cannot play the role of what some of our people say, soft diplomacy. There's no soft diplomacy in this. You need to explain the truth, whether it's hard, and you need to explain the truth that your country does have a role in this, and you could be held accountable if something was to happen, if a country was to go against you. And we need to explain that some countries have acknowledged our genocide. There are certain politicians in Australia who have actually said what is happening is genocide. So we are able to kind of turn the tables if everyone is working together, but this is only if we're exposing the truth and if we're direct with the countries. We cannot play soft diplomacy. We must tell them the truth of what their role was in 2009 and prior, and what their role is after. We can definitely talk with countries like Timor-Leste, who have a very, intense background of self-determination. But we must remember their role after 2009. And that's what I did when I met the president when I had the opportunity last year. I explained that. And he was actually grateful that we were able to tell him the truth. And that's what this dialogue needs to happen, is truth, not soft diplomacy, not just trying to take a photo, but trying to actually talk and get a resolution.
You just talked about massacre and genocide. Everybody knows what has gone on back in 2009. There are absolutely credible evidence available to the international community, United Nations, Why are Tamils struggling to get justice?
I think we are struggling because we are not using sometimes the correct terminology as well when we're talking with politicians and we're talking with those who make decisions. But I also definitely think it's because of the role that we are still playing, is we're playing this victim role that we're not able to demand. We do have the right to demand, and we do have the right to ask for self-determination because that land is our own land. And I think we need to continue to encourage the youth to be a part of this continuous struggle for resistance. And we are not playing the cards right. We keep believing that the UN, us attending the UN.
Why is that? Talking to many people around the globe, Tamils are scattered around the globe, as probably will say, blessing in disguise. They've taken the opportunity wherever they've actually fled to, and they've actually established themselves in the right way, got themselves educated in the right way. They have people everywhere. Why are you struggling to get them together?
I definitely think it's the opposing views that are within our community. The views
How
that
can you have an opposing view when you know there are credible evidence to show more than 140,000 people were killed within few days? How can you have different views when you talk about this mass killing?
I definitely think that some individuals in our community want to forget our past and want to forget that we had our heroes who really guided us. And we had a leader that told us that every common Tamil man and woman has a role playing for this, for achieving Tamil Ilam. And I'm finding that a lot of individuals are not using the correct terminology because they want to play the game of diplomacy. And they want to play the game of, we must act our best because this country accepted us. That this country's our new home. We can't say what they did was wrong, which is absolutely not correct when you're actually asking for justice. As a youth, I find it that we need to say what country has done what. I especially believe that. For me, for Australia has provided funds to Sri Lanka, has helped the CID open in Batticaloa. Australia has provided training. The UK was involved in the Keeny Meanies case. There are so many countries out there that we need to hold accountable. But our people are refusing to face this because they know it's a hard dialogue, and they are continuing to play that soft game of wanting to just achieve the best and keep the dialogue soft so that there is no tension between the country that we're living in, which is absolutely wrong.
What is the importance of international action addressing this issue?
We need to understand that the individuals in our homeland have limited freedom of speech and are in fear of being, enforced disappeared, are in fear of being attacked, in fear of being placed in jail under the PTA. So we as the international community are able to raise our voice. We're able to take their voice to a different platform. And we as the international community cannot be continuously fighting with each other. That's not how we're going to achieve justice. We have to listen to the individuals in the homeland, what they want, because they're living there right now. Listen to the mothers who have been rallying for over 3,000 days and ask them, what do you want? How do you want us to fight? And then from there, we're able to achieve a lot. And the international community must recognize that the youth are growing. We need to educate the youth because at the end of the day, the youth will be carrying the next torch. We'll be carrying the next flame to achieve justice. And the youth are very talented. They're talented writers, talented musicians, talented directors. So we must use all our talents to expose the truth that is occurring in Tamil Ilam, as well as trying to train the next generation.
If you just mentioned, it's incredible to just to hear you saying the youth. And this is the time for youth to take this baton on. And what is the struggle? Why can't the youth take this on?
As a youth myself, we are questioned a lot, because the comments that were thrown at us is, well, you don't remember what happened in 2009, or you weren't there. For me specifically, I have never visited the homeland because I cannot, with the activism that I do and the various speeches I have done. But I know that I'm trying, and I'm speaking with those who want me to do what I can, but we are faced with the backlash that we're too radical. Now, people need to understand that trauma is passed on generations, and trauma becomes worse. And this is scientific fact. This is not an emotional accusation. This is a scientific fact that trauma passes down in various forms. So the younger generation is going to have a very intense form of trauma, and we use that trauma to draw light on what's happening. But we are faced with the accusations that we're radical, or faced with the accusations that we don't know anything. But there needs to be trust between these generations, and there needs to be understanding that our voice does matter no matter what age we are. We must learn to cooperate with each other and work together, because at the end of the day, by working together, our voice is larger and it's way more powerful with the amount of skills that we have as Elam Tamils.
16 years on, still struggling to come to terms with, and individuals are playing a part in keeping completely out of the public domain. Everyone should be focusing and coming together to make sure that the Tamils get justice. Finally, I know you are a very passionate human rights activist and very talented. What is your personal and the community message regarding this Chemmani mass grave in the northern Sri Lanka and the rally?
I definitely think we all need to remember the speech that was provided to us in 2008 by our leader, Marvinana. He ends with the speech stating that the children of the next generation must carry this flame, and that we're the next bearers of this fight. And so witnessing a skeleton being taken out of the land of Tamil Elam, a 3 to 5-year-old body with a school bag, we must understand the last thoughts of this 3 to 5-year-old. And that last thoughts would be, why am I being killed, or why am I being harmed of just being Elam Tamil? And we cannot let those who died throughout Tamil Elam from 1948 to now go in vain. We cannot. And our fight isn't just for this grave. Everyone must realize that we can't just gather on the streets now. That's not how this fight goes. There are various mass graves throughout Tamil Elam. There are various dates that we have in our history that we must continue to remember.
Do you believe there are various mass graves in the northern Sri Lanka?
I definitely believe.
Northeast of Sri Lanka.
Yes, I definitely believe there are various mass graves and mass graves that haven't been found. And I definitely believe that, I always say this, that any soil that you put, any foot that you put on any soil of Tamil Elam, right underneath is their skeleton. And right underneath, there is history on that specific spot you're standing on. Whether that be in the streets of Jaffna, in the streets of Mannar, anywhere in Tamil Elam, all 8 districts.
What can the international community do to identify these mass graves?
We definitely need to call for proper forensic identification and proper international accountability and justice, and that this is not an internal mechanisms that can be used. There needs to be internationally cause of justice. These kinds of forensic evidence was done in Myanmar. It was done in Syria. So if the nations could come together for Myanmar and Syria, they can definitely come together for Tamil Elam. And those who are crying about Palestine, and those who are saying, oh, there's mass graves in Palestine, so is Tamil Elam. We were the first testing ground. And we need to remember that in Tamil Elam, there has been so many instances of genocide that we do fit that definition. The own constitution of Sri Lanka is a genocidal document right there and then to explain how Tamils can be victims of a genocide.
Thank you, Renuka Imbakumar. Tell us where the rally is taking place.
Taking place on Monday, 21st of July, 12 p.m. Canberra, Australian time. And it'll be starting off at the Sri Lankan High Commission. And then we'll be walking to various embassies and then ending at United Nations Information Center.
Thank you so much for joining us, and really appreciate your time. And I hope that your passion, your drive, the desire to get Tamils to justice. I hope that as you were talking about the youths coming together, it's vital for Tamils to be able to get justice. So hope that, you can drive that and then give the Tamils peaceful life to live in the north and east of Sri Lanka. That's exactly what people are looking for.
எமது பார்வையாளர்களுக்கு வணக்கம். மக்களின் குரலாய் ஓங்கி ஒலிக்கும் இலக்கு மின்னிதழ் மற்றும் உயிரோடை தமிழ் வானொலி ஆகிய இவ்விரு ஊடகங்களும் உங்களைப் போன்ற எமது நேயர்கள் நண்பர்களின் ஆதரவிலேயே இயங்கி வருகின்றன. மிக குறைந்த வளங்களுடன் பல இடர்கள் மற்றும் தடைகளை தாண்டி பயணிக்கும் எமது ஊடகங்களின் பணிகள் மேலும் வளர உங்களால் முடிந்த நிதியுதவியை வழங்கி இன்னும் காத்திரமான செயற்பாடுகளை முன்னெடுக்க உதவுமாறு மிகவும் பணிவன்புடன் வேண்டி நிற்கின்றோம். உங்கள் பங்களிப்பு உங்களின் உரிமை குரலாய் ஓங்கி ஒலிக்கும். நன்றி.